So I would ask you to give a resounding welcome to the New York State Senate Republican Minority Leader, my friend, and a man who cares about each and every New Yorker, and a veteran of our armed forces. Senator, I believe you went to Afghanistan. Am I correct, sir?
I did.
Please put your hands together for someone who has all my respect, New York State Senator Robert Ortt.
Well, that was a hell of an introduction. I want to thank Chairman Barsimian not only for that introduction but for his friendship and partnership. As he said, in this role as the Senate Republican leader, you do meet a lot of folks, and you meet a lot of people who share your goals. Sometimes it seems like we're in a state where there's a lot of people who do not share our goals, or do not share our values, or do not share our vision, and it can seem lonely. It can seem like, where the heck am I? And then you travel around and you meet people, whether it's in New York City, whether it's in Long Island, or North Country, or in Western New York, where I'm from, you meet a lot of folks who do share. There are people who care about this country, who care about this state, who share our vision and our hope for the future. And when you get to work alongside them, it makes what is always a difficult task a little bit more fun, a little bit more enjoyable. Because when you talk about, when I was in the military, you'd always talk about, I'm fighting for America, right? And that's true. You're fighting for your home. But really, when you think about it, you're fighting for the people that you know, right? Because I don't know anybody in Kansas or California, but when I think about fighting for America, it's the people that I grew up with. It's my family. It's my friend. That's my slice of America. Your slice is here. And so whether it's in Albany, on the city council, or wherever your journey may take you, or right here in the Knights of Columbus, you're fighting for a better Brooklyn, for a better community, and that helps fight for a better state, which helps fight for a better country. And it's an honor to be here with you. I do want to thank Jimmy Wagner. Is Jimmy right there?
Right
hey, there you are.
Thank you for coming,
so
Senator.
I spoke to him on the phone,
yep.
right? And I got to tell you, the voice didn't match the face for me, right? He looked like a kid. Looks like a kid. I never. So I thought that can't be Jimmy Wagner. But we had a great conversation on the phone, and he was the one who said, "I helped start and found this club, the Donald J. Trump Republican Club in Brooklyn. Would you come and speak?" And I said, "Absolutely, absolutely. I'll come down and speak." And here I got in today. I represent, for those that don't know, so my Senate district. I'm the Senate Republican leader, but I have my own Senate district, obviously, up in Western New York. I represent Niagara Falls. That's in my district, all along Lake Ontario. So not quite Canada, but almost. But I spent a lot of time coming down here. I have come to really, really appreciate New York City and the fight. And I say this, and I hope you'll take it. You are in the belly of the beast. If you live down here, this is where, when we talk about the other side, this is where all, AOC, people think of her, she's quick to tell everyone, even though she grew up in Westchester, that she's from the Bronx, right? She's quick. Chuck Schumer, right? Right, I know.
Yes, I agree.
Don't throw anything at me, but right? But you hear, so people identify New York City with sort of the most left, far left, progressive, and pretty soon, well, not now. They think about Zorhan. Now, he's not going to be your next mayor, thank God. It's going to be Curtis Sliwa.
Yeah. Right? Sure is.
And Curtis will be the guy that stopped communism and socialism from taking over New York City. But the fact that Zorhan is that close, that a socialist who has no experience running anything, let alone the largest city in our country, the fact that he's that close to taking to being the mayor should be a concern and should be a check to where the Democratic Party in New York City has gone. But you're all here. You're all here as proof that it's not, all hope is not lost. And it's great for me to come down here and see all of you here tonight on a Thursday night when you could be doing a lot of other things, You're only here because you care about your city. You're only here because you care about your country. And I'm going to tell you, whether you live in New York City or not, people look at New York City. It's America. The Statue of Liberty, right? Obviously, the terrible attacks on 9/11, the Empire State Building, the Yankees, the Mets, right? You know, wherever you are on that divide. But it's true. People think of New York, and it's so synonymous with America. And so as New York goes, it matters to people in Kansas. People they couldn't find Brooklyn on a map, but it matters. If New York City is doing bad, the state's doing bad, the country's doing bad. If New York City's doing well, the state's doing well, the country's doing well. So it matters. Even though I don't live here, it matters where this city goes. And by the way, we as a party have to be winning seats in New York City. We can't abandon it. We can't say that we are a party for the people and not be competing in the largest city in the state and in America. And you're how we're going to take it back. Yes. I see candidates here. If you're running, if you were mentioned by Richie, you're running. Stand up, please, real quick. Stand up. These individuals, they're not just in the fight; they are at the front lines. They said, "You know what? I'll run. Put my name on a ballot. I'll happily identify and go to voters and introduce myself and tell them why I'm going to make this city better." And it's tough. It's tough to run anywhere. I imagine it's doubly tough in New York. Yes. People generally are going to tell you exactly what they think, right? But that's why it's the greatest city probably in the world. And you're in it, and you're trying to save it one neighborhood, one block, one borough at a time. And I'm grateful, I'm honored to be here. If you'd have told me 10 years ago that Rob Ortt from Niagara County would be speaking to a club in Brooklyn, I wouldn't have believed you. And a lot of other people wouldn't have believed you either. But here I am. So you never know where life takes you, and I'm honored and blessed to follow that journey wherever it leads. I do want to recognize again Steve Senator Chan, who's a great colleague of mine. It's always interesting to me, so we have members from all over the state. And it's always interesting, some members come from different parts of the state, and they sort of encapsulate, like that, their district. Senator Chan, absolutely, first of all, he doesn't back down from anybody. Now, you're an NYPD, you're a cop in New York, you can't back down from everybody, right? I know that. Just from watching the shows, right? Because but he's everything you would think about a New York cop and a Marine, right? No one's going to intimidate him, no one's going to make him back down. But he is, I can promise you, he is standing up for you in Albany because that's where you really need him. He's obviously here standing up for you, but when you go to Albany, that's where you need him to stand up for you, and he does on the Senate floor, in our conference room, at press conferences. With legislation he introduces. He is fighting for South Brooklyn, and he is the first sign and indicator that we can win in Brooklyn and in New York City. It's true. So I'm joined, as was mentioned, by our campaign chair, Senator George Borrello. So, Senator, take a bow. So, real quick, I want to just touch on. I'm going to sort of go in reverse to sort of my remarks. If I had been here 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't have had to talk about the death of Charlie Kirk. And it's been tough, I think, for a lot of people. But it was tough for me to see the video. It was tough for me to see a 31-year-old assassinated for his political beliefs, because he was on a college campus talking about things that some people found tough to talk about. Now, I got to tell you, I'm in Albany. My colleagues talk about things every day that I find tough to talk about. I've never wished them physical harm. And what was even tougher were the reactions by some people, by a lot of people, to the death, right? The shooter is the villain, but there were so many people that said things publicly that made me really question where we are as a nation. But it also reminded me about the importance of what we do right here tonight. It's more important than ever. It's more important that we push on. We can't be intimidated. We can't be scared to speak out, because millions of people are counting on, like the candidates who are here, they're counting on you. Because maybe they're not strong enough to go out there and run for office. Maybe they're not strong enough to speak up for themselves. Maybe they're too busy. Maybe they're raising 3 kids and they're working 2 jobs. They don't know how they're going to make the rent. They don't know how they're going to, survive in this city. They're counting on you to go out there and represent them. They're counting on you to go out there and fight. They're counting on you not to be silenced. And it's more important than ever. In some ways, it's almost a moment where you would think the natural thing is to recoil. You got to push forward. Americans and New Yorkers if they've been one thing, it's brave. Right? For me, one of the first memories I have of New York City is 9/11 and New York City firefighters and New York City police officers running into buildings that were on fire, running into buildings that were going to collapse when everyone else was running away. I'll never forget that as long as I live, because to me that encapsulated in a critical moment what New York always should be, and what as Americans we should always strive to be. You run to the danger, not away from it. So tough to watch that, tough to see. What happened in North Carolina, tough to see on the train. It's a reminder, because we've seen those things happen right here in New York. We've seen that happen. I'm sure there's people in this crowd that have maybe been either the victims of crime, or maybe you go up every day and you worry you're going to be a victim of crime. And I will tell you this, as Republicans, I tell everybody, the goal should be that everybody, regardless of your race, your ethnicity, your color, your background, everyone deserves to live in a safe community. That's the goal. My Democratic colleagues have sort of turned it on its head. They've sort of said, well, everyone apparently deserves to live in an unsafe community. That's where they've gone. We want to go the other way. I don't care whether you're black, white, whether you're from Europe, whether you're from South America, whether you're Latino, whatever it is, poor, rich, you deserve to be able to walk down your street without the fear of getting shot, stabbed, robbed. You deserve to know if you call the cops, they're going to be there. That's what Americans deserve. And you pay some of the highest taxes in the world. You deserve that. And you deserve elected leaders who fight for you and fight for those things. If they're fighting for less public safety, they're not fighting for you. And I don't care who you are. Everyone in this room, that applies to you. If they want less police protection, they are not fighting for you. They're fighting for somebody. Maybe they're just misguided, but they're not fighting for you. When we talk about, I saw, we're at a point, a sort of a strange moment in this country. Obviously, we have our great president, President Trump, who is absolutely fighting for us, whether people know it or not. I believe that. I was proud to support him twice. He's a New Yorker. He may live in Florida now, like a lot of New Yorkers. But he's a New Yorker, because once you grow up here, you can take the kid out of Queens, but you never take the Queens out of the guy. And he is a New Yorker, and he has brought people to vote Republican that never did vote for Republicans before that. Now you think about that. He is not, because he was never the leader of a party. He led a movement. It is a movement. What has happened in this country over the last decade is a political movement. Now, normally in history, movements don't come along very often. Everybody says they're leading a movement, but very few people really are. Mostly, at least in my lifetime, movements came from the left. It was rare to see a movement from sort of the right side of the political spectrum. But it is a movement. And that movement has grown. In 2017, you could be shamed just for saying you supported President Trump. You could lose your job. You could be, famous people were afraid to even acknowledge that they knew Donald Trump. Before he ran for office, everybody wanted to be pictured with Donald Trump, right? Then all of a sudden it was like he was persona non grata. Today, of course, his last election, the popular vote, he's the first Republican president to win the popular vote since Ronald Reagan. Now you think about that. Ronald Reagan was a long time ago. Some of you remember Ronald Reagan. I won't. You don't have to raise your hand. I remember him as a kid, but that was a long time ago. I didn't know if we would ever have a Republican president win the popular vote. And people would tell me it'll never happen again, right? Donald Trump proved them wrong. And an electoral landslide. Now why? Why did that happen? Because he made sense. Because people are going, you know what? You are not, and this goes back to a little bit to the assassination. Some Democrats feel that they are morally inferior to the people in this room, morally superior to the people in this room. There are a lot of my colleagues who feel they are morally superior to me and Senator Chan. They think they're better people. They think that I am inferior morally because I believe in enforcing our immigration laws. I believe that if you're not here legally, you don't have the same you shouldn't have the same access to all the services that you pay into. There are groups that have been in this country legally for years that have fought really hard to just get those basic freedoms and services. And then people show up tomorrow and they just expect to get them. That is not right. And I have a lot of compassion for people who want to come here. I really do. If you want to come here for a better life for you, I think that's awesome. But you got to come here the right way. You got to come here. There's a U.S. citizenship is like the gold standard of citizenship. Think of it this way. If you went into a club, right? You want to be a member. Why do you want to be a member of that club? Well, because there's benefits to it, right? There's an advantage to membership. Well, there's an advantage to being a U.S. citizen. And if we water that down, then that gold standard of citizenship that you and I have, that some people have fought and died for, it doesn't mean the same thing. It just doesn't. There needs to be, citizenship does matter. If you showed up in another country somewhere else, I can promise you, you wouldn't get half the crap, if any of it, that we give out. And you certainly wouldn't be met with a lot of compassion. So we can have compassion, but my obligation as an elected official, as an American elected official, is to Americans and New Yorkers first. First. Doesn't mean you got to be mean. It's to Americans and New Yorkers first. And we got to start putting New Yorkers first again. Regardless of your background, if you're a New Yorker, you're a legal New Yorker, you're here, you're a law-abiding New Yorker, that's who your elected leaders should be fighting for. That's who they should be listening to. They should be working to make things more affordable for you. Yes. They should be working to make things more safe for you. They should be focused on you because you're the people who pay their salaries and vote for them and who we should be representing. Now you have, I think we have a huge election coming up here in November for mayor. Huge election. The whole country, I would even say the world. I'll give you a quick anecdotal story. I was in Charleston, South Carolina a month ago. I was there for a conference, and the one day my wife and I were just kind of walking around Charleston. I highly recommend Charleston if you've never been. It's worth going to. Maybe not in August when I was there, but I would go maybe another time of the year, but it was a beautiful place. And as I'm walking around, there's this woman who, she's on a phone, right? And she's talking, loudly, and she's talking, I couldn't tell if she was like a real estate agent or a business person or something, but she was talking about somebody she was showing a house to or whatever, and then she says, well, if that mayor's race goes the way they say it's going to go, there's going to be a lot more people down here. And so I perked up, and she goes, the New York City mayor's race. If that socialist guy wins, a lot more people are going to come to South Carolina.
That's right.
Now, we can kind of laugh, but think about that. This woman is in South Carolina, and she's anticipating more New Yorkers are going to South Carolina because of what's going to happen here. Because it is happening. We are losing people in New York State. We are losing the people that we want here. People who are employers, employees, taxpayers, hardworking. They're going to states that reward those things. That's how life goes. You go where your actions are rewarded. If you were at a company and you were working hard and doing the right thing and you weren't being rewarded for that, you would find an employer who did reward those things.
Yes.
It's just how life goes. So people are going to states that reward creativity, ingenuity, hard work, playing by the rules, and you know what we're going to get? The people who we reward. So if with the bail laws and the reforms, people that want to be in and out of jail, want to commit crimes and never go to jail, that's rewarded here. So come to New York. People that don't want to pay their rents ever, come here, because that's going to be rewarded. People who want to cheat the rules and try to get a shortcut and get everything first without having to put anything down, come here, because we reward that.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
I didn't hear what did he say?
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Sodom and Gomorrah. And we all know what happened there. Right, so,
Funded sex changes?
but we need to get back to basic what everybody here supports. You should never feel to be made to be embarrassed or that you are somehow inferior morally or otherwise. If you're here tonight, you're here I believe, out of love. You love your community. You love your city. You love your country. That's why you're here. The other side will try to make you think that you're here out of something negative. It's not true. I look around this room, I see people from all different backgrounds sitting right in front of me. New York City is one of the most diverse cities in the world, if not the most diverse city in the world. And yet you saw Donald Trump increase his vote share this last cycle over 8 years before, over 4 years. Why? Why is that? Because the other side isn't working for you. They're not working for us, and his message is common sense. It's actually common sense. And so I applaud. I mean, think about it. A club, the Donald J. Trump Republican Club, right? I mean, that's fantastic. There used to, I mean, there was Abraham Lincoln Club. Like, think about it. Like, that's the kind, he's been a transformative figure in our country, and I think he started a movement that we need to continue here in New York State. It's no accident that a New Yorker started this political movement. And you are the heirs. We're the heirs to that. There's going to be a whole generation of people that are going to come to office and run for office on similar platforms and issues that Donald Trump first introduced, first talked about. I'm proud that he's our president. I'm proud to be the conference leader of our Republican members in the Senate. We have 22 senators from every part of the state. From every part of the state. North Country, New York City, Long Island, Western New York, Central New York. And we're going to pick up more members with your help.
Yeah.
We're going to pick up more members with your help. And we have to. The Democrat right now, they are strangling the state with their economic policies, with higher taxes. If you don't, I'll tell you this. Their policies, their taxation policies, their spending policies are making it more expensive for everybody in this room. They'll tell you, we're only going to tax the wealthy. But if you don't think that that has an impact directly on you, all these the regulations, the energy prices that you're seeing go up, it's because of their energy policies. They are making this state more expensive and less affordable. They are making this state less safe for you and your family. They are making this state less hospitable, less welcoming to the people who have paid taxes, some of the highest taxes in the country. And they want you to keep voting for them. I mean, think about that for a second. And I'll just, I'll end by saying the other day, it's kind of end the way I started. I was with Governor Hochul.
This is terrible. Yes,
I sort of say it this way. I always say Andrew Cuomo was a bad guy. Kathy Hochul's a bad governor, right? I mean, she's really awful. Now, for those that don't know, she was my member of Congress once upon a time because she lives, or she maintains a residence, about 30 minutes from where I live. It doesn't mean no. I don't say that glowingly, but it's true. So I've known her for a minute. She's really just a bad leader. I mean, she really is. She's a bad leader at a time when we are desperate for leadership. That's the truth. It's true here in New York City. It's true in New York State. And it's why Donald Trump is the president. because this country was desperate for real, authentic leadership. Everybody, you can be in politics and not know how to lead. There's a lot of those people, trust me. Trust me. I see him and I meet him every day. I mean, he couldn't lead himself out of a paper bag. We need leadership. Governor Hochul does not know how to lead. She might be the governor. You can have the title and not know how to lead. When I was in the military, we used to say, there's a lot, there's standard, there's tab wearers and tab bearers, right? You can wear the tab if you're Ranger tabbed or Special Forces. You can wear it. That doesn't mean you live it every day. Governor Hochul, she's the governor, but if you met her and didn't know, you would never walk away and think she's a leader. You'd never walk away.
Stop that catch and release.
She's been terrible.
That's all she's got to do to change the city, and she refuses.
I would also tell you, so I was in a meeting with her about, she wanted to have a conversation about political violence. Now, I said yes because even though I knew kind of why she was doing it, I thought to myself, as a Senate Republican conference leader, I should be there. I should be there to represent my members. I should be there in case there's some BS, because I knew there'd be BS that's put out. So I was there. So the first part of it, I was on Zoom. So the first part of it was private, no media. And it was mostly Democrats, Democrat county executives, upstate ones, Suffolk County, Republican executive, myself. And there was a lot of hot air, a lot of nothing, a lot of BS, a lot of what we used to call in the Army, what I call a dog and pony show, right? You're doing something so you look like you're doing something, but you're really doing nothing. And I said to the governor, I said, we talk about political violence in the wake of this young activist being shot and killed. But there are people on this phone call, and she knew who I meant, that just a few weeks ago said the following. After the Texas redistricting, you might remember when that whole thing was right, she had the Texas senators come to, they hid in New York. I want the record to show when they did redistricting, when the Democrats did the same thing here, myself and Senator Chan and Senator Burrell, we didn't go hide in Pennsylvania. We went to Albany and did the job that you elected us to do. So she had and she said the following: "We are at war." That's what she said. Now, she's never been to war. And I hope none of you have been to war, but I have. And as I told her on that call, you know what happens in wars, Governor? People die. That's what happens in war. People die. I don't know if everyone understands. That's why you go to war. You're going to war to kill the enemy. So when you say we're at war, you can't then act shocked when people get shot. Now, I'm not blaming her, but if you want to tone it down or change the rhetoric, or look in the mirror. Start with yourself. Don't lecture other people. Start with yourself. So, as if channeling me, she then opens up to the press, and someone from the media asked her that very question. They said that she had made that quote, and they asked her, "Do you regret that or retract that statement?" And she said no. And that made me angry. It pissed me off because first of all, she wasted my time. The whole thing was a waste of time to pretend that you were caring about something that you obviously don't care about. Because, unfortunately, those on the far left, they do think, I think that we're at war. Now, I would tell you we have a very significant policy difference. But I'm very concerned about the fact that she couldn't even acknowledge that we are at war. That's a war cry. If I said to you, we're at war, well, then some of you might think, well, I better go do something. I better act like I'm at war. And the wrong person might do something even more dangerous and violent. So until Democrats are ready to look in the mirror at their own rhetoric, at how they behaved, And until they recognize that they are not superior to people who support President Trump, they are not superior to Republicans. It is not hateful to want to enforce and protect our borders. It is not hateful to want to protect people in their homes, in their communities. It is not hateful to say that there are two genders, man and woman. Right? And that is an opinion that is shared by millions and millions of Americans. And it is not hateful to support our great president, Donald J. Trump. Until they reconcile with that, I very much worry about where we are as a nation. But I can tell you this, people like Senator Chan, and you, anyone that voted for Senator Chan, you've done your part to save this state. You've done your part to save this state. Now he's a little different, okay? He's a little unique, and I've enjoyed getting to know him. And sometimes he kind of, he's a hard read, right? He's hard to read, but that's the cop in him. That's the cop in him. But we're happy to have him. He broke that supermajority. I can't tell you how important that was. And we need to elect more Republicans here in New York, here in Brooklyn, across this state, because Donald J. Trump is saving our country and making America great again. But we need Republicans to save this state and make New York great again. I want to thank you for all having me here tonight. I want to thank you for being here tonight. Because one day when the history of this state and this country is written, you will be able to say, I was there when we turned the tide. I was there when we turned over a new chapter in New York City, when we took it back, when we saved this city, this state, and this country. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you very much.